The episode begins with Eileen holding the medicine, visibly exhausted, and then collapsing. Her father carries her to her room, and everyone gathers around, worried. Her mother, Ori, wonders, who would have thought Eileen would be able to recreate the medicine? The situation is worse than I thought. Eileen's power and growth are unbalanced. If I were true to myself, I'd say we should have expected this, but you were preventing it, Ravel, if you had only known beforehand. She then tells him she wants to know Eileen's limits and apologizes for not having told him, explaining that she must consult her two elder sisters before leaving immediately. Ravel is perplexed and asks himself if Ori was testing Eileen. A short while later, Eileen wakes up. Her father scolds her, deeply worried, and tells her he will not allow her to overexert herself again, or he won't take her to the Vencraft Manor. Her mother enters and tells Eileen that the next time she uses her power, she must not isolate herself so that her mother can monitor her. She explains that her father was bordering on madness because he couldn't save her. You are still unable to control your powers properly, Eileen. Nevertheless, this is amazing, as you are able to create something like that medicine. Her father then hugs her and tells her that he loves her very much and worries about her greatly. The scene shifts to Eileen and Roval with her uncle, who is very happy because Eileen kept her promise and was able to find the medicine. Following this, Eileen, her father, and her uncle regularly visit the mine. Eileen extracts gold and diamonds using her magical power, making it appear as if the metals were there from the start. Everyone works hard, and they manage to reopen the mine thanks to Eileen. She also begins treating everyone's stone pneumonia, and on top of that, she produces painkillers, antibiotics, and cold medicine. At the end of the day, Eileen tells her father and uncle that there is something she wants to discuss with them. As they ride the carriage, she tells them she heard the town's church is also used as a treatment center, and she was thinking of letting them manage the distribution of the medicines she produces. Her father agrees, provided it won't be a burden on her. Eileen tells him she will be fine and thanks him for his approval. Her uncle tells her he will arrange everything immediately. The scene moves to the manor, where we see Raphaelia being taught important rules that a noble lady must follow by her tutor. Raphaelia becomes very angry and tells the tutor she is tired and does nothing but study, and she didn't come here to become a noble lady. She leaves and goes to the garden, where she recalls the past, remembering the carriage ride with her mother. To her father, filled with joy. She arrives at the manor, amazed by its beauty, meets her tutor, and begins her lessons, little by little. However, she grew tired of studying the rules for living as a distinguished young lady. This wasn't what she had imagined. Back in the present, Raphaelia walks through one of the manor's corridors and overhears the maids talking about a girl named Eileen. She approaches them angrily and asks who this is. The frightened maids leave quickly. Raphaelia wonders to herself who this girl is that everyone is talking about. She then sees her father and rushes to him. Her father tells her it is not proper for a young lady to run like that. Raphaelia tells him she is fed up and wants to talk to him about something. Her father refuses and tells her to go to her mother. As she leaves, we see Ravel advising his brother to listen to his daughter and get closer to her. As he listens to every word Eileen says, Raphaelia goes to her mother, whom we see in bed, exhausted and tired. Her mother tells Raphaelia she doesn't want to talk now as she is sick, and throws her drink at the maid. Raphaelia tells her mother she is very upset with her father because he never listens to her and is always busy. She is also tired of studying, and the tutor tells her that if she doesn't commit to her lessons properly, she will bring shame to the family, repeating this frequently. Her mother tells her that everyone here looks down on them because they are commoners. Her mother then cries, asking why she is treated this way and why she is still a slave when she is now of the upper class. Isabella enters and asks what is wrong, as she can hear their voices from outside. Raphaelia leaves the room and goes away. We return to Sauvel in his room with Rorin. Isabella enters and asks Sauvel to leave her alone with Rorin. He asks his mother what is the matter. Isabella tells him she is here to talk to him about Ori and Raphaelia, and he needs to think about Raphaelia a little. That girl sees everyone in the manor as an enemy except her mother, and she is rebelling even against her noble education. He tells her he doesn't know how to deal with her, as he was forced to live away from her for years after her birth. He decided to enroll Raphaelia in an academy because it is better for her not to stay in this house. If she can interact with the children of nobles, she might get used to it, and this is what's best for her now. He then asks his mother why his daughter Raphaelia rebels so much. As Eileen is very cooperative, why isn't Raphaelia like that? His mother tells him to stop comparing Eileen and his daughter, as each is an independent person. Raphaelia needs someone to listen to her, but the only person she trusts is her mother, and her mother's condition is difficult. Isabella leaves him and departs. The next morning, we see Eileen in the mine, treating one of the workers and giving him tomorrow off to recover his health. Her father and uncle arrive. Her uncle tells her about the treatment center in town and that the preparations are going smoothly. Aileen is very happy and thanks her uncle. He also tells her that Roran wants to discuss the fields with her. Aileen agrees and is very happy, climbing onto her uncle's shoulder. Her father becomes jealous and tells her he can carry her too. Aileen tries to joke with her father, telling him her uncle is much taller than him. Suddenly, her mother, Ori, appears and tells them she wants to work with them too. Rovel agrees, takes his wife and daughter, and they leave. Sovel then remembers his daughter Raphaelia and feels sad about her condition and rebellion. Thus ends today's episode of that anime. To follow more events, please subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. Hello friends, today we are going to summarize episode 9 of the anime Rofel and his daughter Aileen. But before we start, tell us in the comments which country you are watching this anime from. Our episode begins with Raphaelia talking to Gadiel, thanking him for his letter. They haven't been able to meet for a long time. She misses him dearly, saying, "My father and everyone in the palace mistreat me. I know deep down they love me, but I hate it anyway. It would make me happy if you visited me again as soon as possible." The narrator adds, "Take care of yourselves these days because there's a new variant of corona spreading, so stay safe." The scene shifts to Aileen, who is working like a doctor, treating patients. As you can see, she's checking tonsils and inflammation, doing everything necessary during these days of severe fever. Perhaps the new variant has swept through the area. She asks a father when his son started suffering from the fever. The mother replies, "The fever appeared suddenly early today." Aileen tells them, "You must give him a fever reducer immediately. It's not good for his temperature to stay this high. He's moving around a lot, so we must ensure he doesn't get dehydrated. Take him to an isolation room immediately and no one should accompany him." She begins dividing the medicine box. Since he is a child, she prescribes paracetamol 500 every 6 hours and an antibiotic every 12 hours after food. They have started calling Aileen the healing princess. They leave, and the scene shifts to the place where the father of the treated boy is. The father says his son's fever dropped the next day. He was shocked. At first, he thought she was a witch who had made a pact with a spirit, but it seems she is an herbalist. It appears the rumor about the blessed medicines is true. Hume asks him if he thinks the Vancryft family is involved. The man replies that he is certain, and he believes the man with her was the hero. At night, Hume goes to see Raphael and introduces himself, stating he wants to investigate the Vancryft family's medicines. Raphael replies that he is also curious about these medicines that fight the epidemic, but he knows exactly what Hume wants. He wants the medicine for his mother, whose condition isn't improving. Hume apologizes for his actions, and Raphael forgives him. Hume admits he has a personal motive, but notes that all the merchants are competing for these medicines. If the court healers don't provide them soon, they will lose the people's trust. He begs to be allowed to study the medicines. Raphael thinks for a moment and agrees. He tells Hume the main reason for his approval is that Hume is a spirit sorcerer. Despite his young age, Raphael likes people with a promising future. However, there is a condition he must adhere to in his research. The Vancryft family holds a special status with the royal family. He orders him to leave and report anything new. Afterward, Raphael orders his guards to summon Gadiel. As Hume leaves, he looks fearful and tense regarding Raphael. Although Raphael seemed to be in a good mood, there was something suspicious hiding behind his smile. Hume fears this, thinking that since it involves the Vancryft family, it's a domain he shouldn't be interfering in. We then see Raphael with Gadiel. He asks if Gadiel still exchanges letters with his son, Sauvel. Gadiel replies that he does, but Sauvel only replies occasionally. His father tells him, "It seems the Vancryft family has recently hired a skilled herbalist. They say the spirit princess herself recruited her." Gadiel is surprised by his father's words. Next, we move to Rofel with his daughter, his brother Sauvel, and her grandfather. The grandfather states that the number of citizens staying on their land seeking treatment has risen by 30% since last month. Consequently, they can no longer stock enough medical supplies, and desperate patients have begun fighting over medicine. Aileen tells them they must start a triage system, prioritizing patient treatment based on the severity of their condition. Children, pregnant women, and those who have fainted, being the most vulnerable, will be at the front of the line, along with the infected. They love this idea, impressed that such a young child is smart enough to come up with a plan so quickly. Aileen thanks them for their praise, but tells them her knowledge is inherited from her ancestors, not invented by herself. Their warm praise makes her feel a bit guilty. Her father, Rofel, tells her that her ancestors are surely resting in peace and happiness, because of what she is doing. He hugs her, telling her she is the best. His brother Sauvel tells him he spoils her too much. Rofel gets angry, telling Sauvel that he didn't show enough interest in his own daughter, and the fault lies with him. Sauvel looks sad and remembers when he went to his daughter, Raphaelia. Sauvel speaks to them, saying, "My daughter is going through a rebellious phase. I think she is angry because I neglected her." But he tells Rofel, "Let's get back to the topic. There is a problem we need to discuss. Due to the increase in people coming here for treatment, I've received reports regarding public safety." They look at Aileen, and she is surprised, asking why they are looking at her like that. Sauvel continues, "Even a child can't be this unaware of herself at this age." Aileen asks what the matter is. Rofel tells her that rumors are spreading everywhere that a girl from the Van Cryft family is the one providing the medicines. If things continue like this, her life could be in danger. "You will have a bodyguard. You will see him now." Alberto and Ron enter, accompanied by a child. We learn that this child, named Kai, is Aileen's bodyguard. Sauvel mentions that Kai is 13 years old. Aileen is surprised. She tells her father, "You are always busy with work, so I never felt the presence of a woman in your life." Kai introduces himself, saying, "My father told me you saved me. I will do my best to protect you." Rofel says, "The problem is specifically using a human guard." Suddenly, Rofel calls out to a tiger. The tiger introduces himself. "I am Van, the son of the great wind spirit Vint." Aileen is overjoyed when she touches him. He is very fluffy and smells great. Van replies, "I took a bath immediately." Rofel explains that Van will be a guard from the spirit world as well. Van can control wind freely and has hearing so sharp he can pick up rumors from far away, which will be very useful. Sauvel gets angry, saying, "A monster of this size will cause chaos in the town." Suddenly, the tiger transforms into a very handsome boy. Aileen is happy that he learned human transformation and became so handsome. Van gets into an argument with the other boy, Kai. But Rofel grabs his daughter and tells them, "Why are you fighting over my daughter Aileen? I will protect her myself, and I won't allow either of you to marry my daughter." The scene shifts to Hume and Gades, the prince, who says they will look for a nearby inn to spend the night. Hume asks the prince to distance himself a little. Everyone is surprised that he speaks to the prince in this tone. Hume explains that his spirit is terrified of the prince. The prince accepts this and asks to be called by his name. Hume tells them, "We must get those medicines, figure out how they are prepared, and determine the role of the young lady from the Van Cryft family, and whether spirits are the ones making the medicine. My spirit will conduct this investigation." He asks, "What will we do if my spirit is too scared to work?" He looks at the sky, sees strange lights, and says the sickness is spreading to the sky, and they must stop it. Everyone feels a great power when looking at the sky. Hume feels his spirit trembling and thinks the rumors about spirits making the medicine might actually be true. The prince thinks to himself, could it be Aileen who is actually preparing the medicine? They continue walking to find the truth. The prince thinks, "I am indeed selfish, but I want to see you so much, Aileen." The scene moves to a maid calling out to Miss Raphaelia, handing her a letter addressed from Gadiel. She is overjoyed, takes it, reads it, and becomes very happy. Finally, we see Aileen with her father Rofel, her uncle, and the boy in a carriage. Aileen asks, "How is Uncle Alberto's wife?" Her uncle replies, "She is very brave and reliable." The boy says, "It's a little embarrassing to hear you talk about my mom like that. Excuse me." Aileen says to him, "It seems your mother is the one who calls the shots in the house." He replies, "Of course." Everyone laughs. The uncle tells her, "You will meet her soon. You must visit us." Then the uncle jokes, "I see that Aileen is the one who calls the shots in your case," which makes her father Rofel angry. Then Aileen and her father arrive. Van appears and tells her that he is by her side if she needs anything, and Aileen thanks him for his help. They go inside, and the female doctor informs them that things are going very well among the healers, but there are countless patients insisting they arrived first, and everyone is tense about whether or not they will receive the medicine. Aileen tells them she will make more medicine for everyone. Her father tells her that is impossible and beyond her strength. She becomes sad and begs her father to let her make even a little more. Her father hugs her and tells her never to overwork herself. At the end of the day, Aileen and her father return home. When the tiger enters the palace, the maids are frightened. Her father tells them not to be afraid, and the tiger transforms into his human form and introduces himself. Ron appears and welcomes them. It is clear that Aileen loves him very much. Then Aileen's uncle mentions that he will be having dinner with Raphaelia, Aria, and his mother tonight. Afterward, they drink tea together. Ron informs Aileen that all the tasks she assigned to him have been completed. Aileen then asks for his advice regarding fertilizer for the lands, stating she will go there with him after she finishes with the medical center matters. Suddenly, one of the maids enters and informs them that Princess Raphelia is nowhere to be found in the entire palace. Her father becomes very frightened. He goes to his wife, Arya, and asks about their daughter Raphelia, but she knows nothing about her. We then see her father looking very sad. Van steps out onto the balcony and listens to a voice from afar. He tells them that the voice is saying, "We must get the medicine from the Reincarnated family." Everyone is shocked and realizes that Raphelia has been kidnapped instead of Eileen. And so ends our episode. To see more, please subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button. Hey friends, today we're going to recap episode 10 of the anime Rofel and His Silly Family, or the reincarnated daughter of the legendary hero and the Queen of Spirits. But before we start, drop a comment below and let us know which country you're watching this from right now. Our episode kicks off with a really heavy, sad vibe. Everyone is gathered together, but we don't know why yet. Maybe someone ran away or fled the place. Then we see Van saying they need to get the medicine from the Vancroft family and that the young miss should be there. Suddenly he realizes he heard someone repeating that exact phrase earlier. They figure out that the person who was kidnapped was taken by mistake. It was probably Ellen they wanted all along. Ellen apologizes to her uncle, saying, "I am so sorry. I swear if I knew this would happen, I would have let them kidnap me instead of your daughter." And she starts crying her eyes out. Her uncle tells her, "It's not your fault. Please, don't cry. You just want to help people. We will find her. We'll find Raphelia," while hugging her as she sobs. It was a truly tragic scene. Just then, the maid bursts in and tells them, before the young miss disappeared, she received a letter from His Highness, Prince Gadiel. Everyone is shocked and asks what he wanted. She explains that Prince Gadiel had visited Ellen before, but ever since he met Raphelia, the two had been exchanging letters. She hands them the letter she found on Raphelia's desk, assuming she read it before vanishing. When her father opens it, he sees that the prince had summoned her. This raises the possibility that Raphelia wasn't kidnapped, but went willingly, though being summoned suddenly without permission is suspicious. Ellen turns to Van and asks, "Did you hear them say prince, miss, medicine, or anything like that?" Van confirms, "Yeah, it looks like they're spying nearby." The family is stunned. "What? Are they actually in the area?" Ellen gets angry and tells Van, "Take me to them right now." Meanwhile, we get a glimpse of Raphelia tied up hand and foot in a warehouse. The scene shifts to Hume and his group. They're trying to figure things out. No one knows the identity of this healer princess or the secret behind her medicine. Hume remembers the condition Prince Gadiel gave him for the search. The Vancroft family holds a special place with the royal family. Back in reality, Hume explains that the king's conditions included taking the prince along and linking the trip to the medicine research, though he doesn't know why. He asks his group if they've ever met the hero's daughter. Suddenly, something strange happens. The door is smashed open. It's Raphelia's dad, Salvel. He screams, "You idiots, bring my daughter back immediately or I'll chop your heads off and feed them to stray dogs." The group is confused, asking why he's there. The dad gets even angrier, yelling, "Shut up, you stupid prince. You lured my daughter out to kidnap her, didn't you?" Just as he decides to attack, Ellen stops him, saying, "Wait, uncle. They said Raphelia isn't here. I checked using some spirits." At that moment, Gadiel walks in. When Ellen sees him, she gets scared because she sees a black aura around him. Suddenly, her father, Rovel, appears out of nowhere and orders the prince not to come near his daughter. Rovel asks if Gadiel forgot what happened 3 years ago. Gadiel replies that he hasn't forgotten, which is why he wanted to apologize. Hume realizes they are talking about the fact that the royal family was found to be cursed by spirits 3 years ago. They sit down to talk. Salvel asks Gadiel why he summoned his daughter. Gadiel is confused. Salvel explains that she received a letter and then vanished. Gadiel swears he didn't write that letter, even though the kingdom's seal is on the paper. Ravel asks why Gadiel came here then. Gadiel admits he came to investigate. Rumors that the Vancroft family possesses medicine effective against the plague. His men try to hush him up to keep it a secret, but Gadiel ignores them, saying there's no point in hiding it now. He explains that the only way to prove they didn't kidnap Raphelia is to be honest. He says their goal is just to study the source and effects of the medicine. The king is actually worried because rumors say the skilled medicine maker is Ellen, and he ordered the search to find the truth before any harm comes to her. He insists he wouldn't kidnap Raphelia for that. Then, Hume speaks to Ellen and asks if she is the spirit princess. Rovel asks who he is. Hume introduces himself as the palace healer and says he has a spirit friend named Ashuta, funny little guy who works for the royal family. Ellen is shocked that he formed a contract with a spirit. Hume proves it by calling Ashuta a small rabbit out of his bag. Ashuta immediately runs to Ellen, confirming she is indeed the spirit princess. Hume realizes spirits are involved in making the medicine. Ellen asks her father for permission to tell the truth. She reintroduces herself as the daughter of the Spirit Queen. She explains the medicine's effects, but notes that the king already knows she exists. She suggests it's better for the royal family to manage the medicine rather than the Vancrofts monopolizing it. However, she explains the king's worry is actually because he fears she and her father might leave this world if she gets hurt. She points out that the current situation with Raphilia actually benefits the king's hidden agenda, but if it turns out the royal family is involved in the kidnapping, they better be prepared for the consequences. Gadiel angrily denies knowing anything about that. Ellen replies, "That's because the king wouldn't tell you. That's just his nature." Gadiel is stunned, realizing, "My father used me." Ellen proposes a deal. "When we find Raphilia, it will prove your innocence. So please, help us search. You've technically failed your mission, but if you make up for it by finding Raphilia, I will give you the details and a sample of the medicine. If you deliver that to the king, your mission will be considered a success. I am the daughter of the Spirit King, heir to the Primal King, but I have one condition. I want you to save Raphilia safely." Prince Gadiel agrees, saying he is very worried about her as a friend. They start planning. One guy notes that kidnapping a noble girl requires a lot of men. Roval asks Ellen why she asked for their help. She tells him Raphilia's life is in danger. Sovel figures out the kidnappers likely used a carriage and hid her in an inconspicuous place. He mentions a path leading to an old quarry that ancestors used, which no one goes to anymore. Ellen decides to gather information using the power of the wind to search from above. Van says, "I'll search," turns into a small beast, and disappears. The royals are amazed to see Van transform. Rovel explains he is a great spirit, the only ones capable of taking human form. Gadiel asks Ellen if she used wind power to cure the plague, realizing her affinity with spirits is incredibly high. We see Sovel terrified and anxious about his daughter. Rovel reassures him they will wait for the report first. Ellen also comforts him, saying, "Things will be okay, don't worry. If we knew exactly what Raphilia looked like right now, we could use the water mirror." She then asks her father for Raphilia's description. Ellen then calls her dad out, saying, "Dad, admit it, you don't even remember what Raphilia looks like, do you?" He replies, "I'm so sorry, my mind is a bit blank and preoccupied, but honestly, it's no surprise since he usually avoids women anyway." Everyone is waiting for Van, pinning high hopes on him, gathering crucial intel. Suddenly, the young prince calls out, "Wait, Ellen!" He begs her for just one favor. "If we manage to find Raphilia safely, please listen to what I have to say afterwards." Ellen recalls a past moment, one he doesn't remember, where she was crying her eyes out over a friend who died, and he left her with a promise to meet again while she was drowning in grief. She agrees to listen to him, and he gets super happy. Just then, her father Rovel steps in and asks, "Why are you staring at the prince like that?" She tells him, "It's nothing, Dad. I'm just happy and surprised that he was so glad I agreed to talk to him." At that moment, Van returns in his tiger form with the news. Exactly as predicted, there are 7 men and 1 little girl. Everyone decides to head out. The prince insists, "I'll come with you," but Sovel tells him to wait at the mansion until they bring her back. They leave the prince in Kai's care, much to the prince's frustration. The teleportation circle activates, and they shoot off like a rocket to the cave. They arrive to find some guards posted outside. The 6 of them gather, and Van transforms back into a man, telling them the target is deep inside the cave. Rovel decides to handle things outside while Sovel goes in to get his daughter. Rovel unleashes his full power, telling the bandits, "You will pay for touching what you shouldn't," and draws his sword. Suddenly, his wife calls out, "Wait, Ravel, it's me, Ori!" Everyone is shocked and asks, "Who is this girl?" Ravel asks her why she's here, and she says, "I came to watch and help my daughter." The bandits are terrified because they recognize the Spirit Queen from the previous monster stampede, and they realize that her husband is the legendary hero who saved the world. Ori and Ravel team up for a massive attack, wiping them out instantly. Ellen and Van watch, trembling at their overwhelming power. Ori feels much better and waves goodbye to her daughter and husband. Meanwhile, Sovel and Alberto rush into the cave to save Raphilia. They find her tied up with tape over her mouth, terrified but unable to speak. Suddenly, a bandit sitting nearby intercepts them, saying, "You aren't invited," and attacks. Sovel dodges the strikes. When the bandit swings his axe, Sovel catches it with his bare hand and crushes it. The bandit, unable to move his weapon, asks in shock, "Who exactly are you?" Sovel replies, "I am the commander of the Knights of Ten Ball, Sovel." The bandit is terrified. Sovel lands a knockout punch to his face, dropping him to the floor. Raphaelia rushes to her father. Thankfully, she is unharmed. The poor girl is in tears, and her father apologizes for everything. They walk out with Raphaelia, who has fallen asleep from the stress. Outside, everyone is relieved to see her safe. Sauvel orders Alberto to hand the gang over to the guards to be thrown in prison. He thanks his brother for the help, and with Raphaelia safe, everyone is happy. And with this happy ending, today's episode concludes. Stay tuned for the next episodes of this anime.